Mississippi, Queen by Mountain. Good God, I saw them live. How great they were.
You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hacha! Thanks for being here tonight.
I'm pushing them back from the saloon to the airwaves. I'm spitting it raw. Constitution's my compass, liberty's law. Big guns creeping, shadows on the land. Feds with the schemes trying to bind up my hands. But I'm the Sherpa, guiding through the storm. Red, white, and blue, yeah, freedom's reborn. They spin their tails, but I see through the haze. Media maggots, lost in the maze. I'm calling it out, no fear in my soul. This patriot's fire ain't losing control. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. Freedom's calling. Let this judge is twisted, trying to steal our rights, but I'm locked and loaded, got them in my sights. From J6 to the border, they're selling us out. I'm screaming from the mountain, hear my rebel shout. They mock the flag, but I'm holding it high. Stars and stripes forever under God's open sky. No globalist chains gonna cage this land. I'm the Sherpa with the truth in my hand. They push their agenda, but I'm breaking the mold. Their promises empty, their hearts ice cold. Chicago's bleeding, borders torn apart. I'm fighting for the people with the warrior's heart. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. I've walked the line, 41 years, badge on the grind, now I'm on the air, my voice like a blade, cutting through the lies that the traitors made. Hurricanes rage, but we're standing tall, sheriffs of the Constitution answering the call. From the saloon to the heart of the fray, we're taking back America, no more delay. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight, torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. Static, hear my voice resound. Conservative Sherpa, freedom's battleground. Berserk, Bobcat, rules will never kneel. For God and country, this fight is real.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, women, children, and weird units of all ages. My gosh, it's the Saloon, and I'm BZ, and it's my second and final show for the week. And tonight, my guest will be Earl Jackson. He actually is a working man, and he can't be here tonight immediately. I think, let's see, we had 600 subscribers. We got more than that. I think we're up to, we were yesterday, well, on Tuesday night, We were up to 605 subscriptions. And let me look at comments here. I think Phantom said we are up to 607. I should have looked. Before the show. Customarily, I do. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was 607, but obviously I could be very, very wrong. No, what is this? Someone is coming through green. I don't know what the hell that means. That is weird. Now, Kiwi Lass is here. Wow. SC Kiwi. Now, to be honest, I have to admit, I have no idea what the hell is going on. Super chat. Huh. Okay. Not familiar with the super chat, but Phantom says, yes, it is 607 subbies right now, subscriptions. And so let's go back to front to back, and in the middle. Tonight in chat, we have Rick Robinson. She sent a tip. Wait. First of the night, okay? It would be remiss if I didn't do this. First of the night, Kiwi Lass. Thank you. Sent a tip. Seabiscuit in the ninth. Always wash behind your ears. Never wear your galoshes in your mom's kitchen, or to the moon, Alice, is what's going to happen. So let's see. Also, Unpleasant Blind Guy is here. Obviously, Kiwi Lass. CB Cosmic Bard is here. He wields a great ball of the power cosmic, just like the Silver Surfer did. What was Silver Surfer's first original name? What was his original real name before he became the Herald to Galactus? And the answer is Norrin Rad. Why do I know that? Because I'm a really old guy who I grew up on Marvel Comics. Ordy is in chat. God, have I missed anybody? SHR Media. Well, that's me. I don't count. Let me go up here. No, I think I've got just about everybody at this point. We were having a first race between myself and Phantom. Let me stop the banner here just for a second. I also want to say tonight, hey, thanks to KLRNs, Rick Robinson, who rub you wrong time, GI. Not rub you wrong time. Okay, come on. You guys get your heads out of the gutter, if you would, please. So anyway, thanks to everybody for being here. I have a really weird story that occurred to me. Now, I go to therapy, and I call therapy, I guess, chemo can be therapy too, right? You're thinking, I know what you're thinking. BZ, head therapy, right? Not necessarily. Anyway, I was going to therapy. Oh, I've got more comments. Let me catch up to comments also. Hey, Phantom stole my line with regard to Cosmic Bard. Not all who wander are lost. And he confirms, see, Cosmic Bard confirms Norrin Rad, the one, the only Silver Surfer. I'm curious, though, Cosmic Bard, first, did you see the new Silver Surfer? And then if you did, what did you think about it? Licky Robinson, love you. Long time busy, GI busy. The sets were interesting. I wasn't having a good time with Ben Grimm being completely CG, but I have to say, quite frankly, I love the hell out of Galactus. I can only hope that we see him back. If I'd known that I was going to mention Galactus, I would have worn one of my 2 Galactus t-shirts tonight. Now, if you saw the intro, that was Mississippi Queen by Mountain. Saw them live twice before Felix Pappalardi was shot and killed dead in New York by his girlfriend, Gail Collins, who did all the embroidery on his pants and also did all the artwork for the Mountain albums. So for whatever reason, if you're a bass player for Mountain by the name of Felix Pappalardi, don't date the crazy white insane chick named Gail Collins, even though she's doing your artwork and probably a few other things under the table. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, if you get my drift. Normally I'd be all the way up to this essential. Oh, by the way, I have to say this. There's our plush, sumptuous, and palatial chat room. And you need to be there right now. And how do you get into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room? That's by way of going to the SHR Media YouTube channel. And that's where we have 607 subscribers right now. I had a plan. See, usually this is weird. Okay, I'll admit it. I can do that now. Like I said, Earl will be here probably at the bottom of the hour. So I have time to riff a little bit if I want to. It's my show, okay? And in the process of doing that, I've come up with sort of a little tradition, if you will. On Tuesday and Thursdays when I have my show. Now, apparently, I don't get it, but I'm doing it. I get up early for me is 7 a.m. Now, that's 9 o'clock Rick Robinson time, but I'm getting up at 7 and I'm watching Rick Robinson's show because the intent was to get into his show and listen to it over here. And while I'm doing that, get all my show notes and what I'm going to be doing in what order. And I write them down on little pieces of paper like this. Okay, you're going to do tonight. You're doing, these are my show notes, sticky notes. And I know what order I'm going to do my show. So I've been listening to Rick Robinson, and then I find that customarily what ends up happening is that all the best laid plans of mice and men go straight out the fucking door. And when I start listening to Rick Robinson, and then I get in his chat room, I'm tapping like crazy. And so I didn't get much preparation done. Well, I had to get everything done because I had to go to my therapy, therapy. And going to my therapy is what went kind of weird. And this is it. I made my first call today to ICE. And so you're thinking, BZ, you're calling ICE? Like, how come, why for you call ICE, white man? Because you live in North Idaho, there should be nothing that's going on up there. Well, as I was parking, I might find this. I immediately put this into the what the fuck is going on category because of my weirdness going on in my brainuless these days. As I'm parking, my place where I go is to the left of a Safeway. And I'm in Nof, Idaho. And that's where I go. The big hospital is across the street, way over there. Well, to get there, you have to go down Highway 95. This is going to be a clue. Highway 95 in North Idaho. Well, where I do the show and where I go for my therapy is about 99, maybe 100 miles south of the Canadian border. So I'm not that far from the Canucks, not mechanics, the Canucks, way up in the great white Nof. And so 95 is basically a major highway if you're muling, doing drugs, because 95 runs straight up and down Idaho, north and south. And so if you're coming from Canada, because I'll see a lot of Canadian plates around here. That's weird because Canadians actually come here for a vacation. This is welcome to Idaho. Okay, spend a lot of money and go back home. But it's also we're discovering, because the border is so damn secure on the south. And how they get from the south up all the way to the north, I'm not sure. But they do it. Planes, magic carpets, UFOs, riding on the back of Bigfoot. Don't know. But we've discovered that ICE and USBP is a lot more active around here, because once the South, she closed, man. It's mostly closed, man. A lot of people are coming down here from the north. 95 is a major highway in which to do that. As I pulled into the parking lot, and I look at my watch. I'm about a half hour early. No big deal. I got a lot of time. I can start to relax a little bit. Just kind of, I look over to the right, and in front of Safeway are two pretty nice Ford, I believe, F-150 pickups in the parking lot. In and of themselves, no big dealio, because almost everybody around here drives a pickup truck with a big guard on the front and a big grill and lights and all that kind of cool shit. Well, the thing that caught my Mark 1 Model 1 eyeball was, okay, yeah, there's two nice pickups here, not pieces of trash. These pickups, I'd say, were maybe 5 years, at most 10 years old. No dents, no dings, nice shape. And then I spy with my own little eye around the parking lot. I'm watching. There's a lot of guys around here who are whams. And that's war age male. And they look like they're from Mexico or Central America. And they're all about the same size. They're all about 5'7" to 5'8". Nobody's taller than 6 feet. They're in fairly good shape. It's no obese old piece of crap like me. No kids, no females, no family. And they're wandering around here. And then, of course, even though I'm colorblind, I know I look at the pickups, and in the back of the pickups are these huge ass duffel bags. So they look like they're constructed of ripstop nylon, or basically some kind of a nylon, like a duffel bag. Okay. They're, even though I'm colorblind, I know my colors because I know when to stop at an intersection. These are big red duffel bags, maybe 3.5, 4 feet long by about 2.5 feet or so. And there's, in each truck bed, there are probably the trucks, the beds are packed with these stuffed to the brim duffel bags. All of them are red. All of them are the same. All of them are packed. Now, in the backs of the trucks, there's no camper, no camper shell, no pipe rack, just an open bed, packed with these just plump, fully packed duffel bags. So as I'm passing by, I also I'm thinking, okay, wait, don't be so stupid. Let's not go off just yet. Let's look for T-shirts, because maybe this is a group of individuals flying down 95 and they decided to stop in the Safeway parking lot. Well, that part is true. All 10 of those guys are walking around. Some of them are near the duffel bags, but some of them are coming back from the Safeway, and they got food and drinks and water. And another one behind me is coming from the Starbucks behind me. So it looks like, okay, this is a pit stop. So for whom is this pit stop? So I start looking around. Are they representing a company or a corporation? Are their T-shirts all the same? Are they maybe a construction company that just happens to be passing through? No, they're all whams, and they're all about the same size, in relatively new pickup trucks, in good shape. Both of these beds are packed with probably 20 of these huge duffel bags that are stacked up past the top of the cab roof. As in, they're all the same. All these red bags, and a bunch of guys running around that I believe are illegals, illegal invaders, because finally I go, oh, yeah, well, shit, they are making a pit stop. They're coming from Canada. they're coming down 95, which is the easiest way to go if you're coming in through Canada, or maybe you came from one of those. It splits up into all little teeny roads right up there, because this is Idaho after all. And not everybody's going to go through the main gateway from Canada into Idaho. And there are also a ton of little roads up there, because I've been up there driving around and whatnot to get in here if you want to avoid the man at the gate. So what this is an assload of illegal invaders, whams, who came apparently through Canada on their way continuing south, SOUF, and they stopped to fuel up. Because the funny thing is, if you look over across this parking lot, yeah, there's the Starbucks. You can get your coffee there. But if you look over here in this side, there's a Jack in the Crack over on the corner. And next to the Jack in the Crack is a gas station. Frank Zappa, wind up working at a gas station. So then though I am occupied thinking of this is not going to be fun for the next while, I'm thinking, wait a minute, this really is what I think it is. It's a shit ton of illegal invaders muling whatever the fuck is in those bags, and they're all standardized, they're all the same, and they're all packed with whatever. So, each bag, they're not different. They're all red, and they're packed with whatever is in there to the same degree. So it's not like there's one packed bag here and one smaller bag here that isn't completely packed. No, they're all the damn same. And they're all apparently carrying the same stuff in both beds of the pickups. Now, are we talking these guys are seriously stupid enough to be muling that amount of drugs? I don't think so. But the funny thing is, stupider shit has happened. I have segments about that on the show. I'm going to have a segment in the not too terribly distant future, weapons grade stupid. And when you hear the stories, you're going to go, oh, fuck yeah, that's weapons grade stupid. All right. So then I can't be late, because if you're late, they look at you and they go kind of one-eyed like, you're late, mister. I don't like to be late. So I couldn't do anything at the time. I had to walk in. I wished that I thought, because how can you possibly anticipate this? Well, you can't. I thought I should have gotten my camera, and taken pictures, and got the license plates of both of those pickups. Because it's like, gee, how come you never can take a photo of Sasquatch? Well, unless you're looking for Sasquatch in the out of doors, you're not walking around with a camera or a phone glued to your eye. I'm looking for Sasquatch. Yeah, mostly people aren't. Or UFOs. Oh, look, it's a UFO. Where the fuck is my camera? I missed it. It's the same thing with Sasquatch, and it's the same thing with the illegal invader Mexicans that I saw in the nice pickup trucks packed with huge duffel bags full of, how do I know? So I go in, I spend my hours in there, have a jovial time of it all, come back, they're gone, obviously. And so I thought, okay, do I do this? Because I remember this. Also, oddly enough, this is really weird. From this overlay right here, because I put it up a couple of times, I remembered the phone number. I remembered it was, I wasn't sure of the area code, but I remembered DHS to ICE. So at the end of that, I went, I get out. I'm not feeling 100%. What the fuck? And then I left the massage with the Swedish Prime Minister, and then I also sent a text tip into them as well. But being that this is Thursday, it's August the 28th, the year of our Lord 2025, and, why not save the best part of the week for just before you do the show so that you're in the fittest top condition? And then I thought before I get into the show, do you love this or do you hate this? Now, I got this tie at Kohl's, Kohls. I don't remember what I was looking for. This is like last year. But I'm in there, and because, I was still doing my show last year, and I thought, how weird is it that, the boy is up, and the boy okay, I don't have a camera. I can't show you. I was going to put a camera in just for the dog. Well, there's a dog, and when I'm in here, customarily, the dog who's probably 2 months or so from passing away, he's in terrible shape. He's even worse. Well, anyway, I won't go there. So he sleeps under here. And now, is he near the door? Yes, he's near the door. Okay. Let me see if I can do this. How about this, folks? Listen to this until I get back. I gotta let the dog out, or you know what happens. It's a wonderful little ditty. Okay, that's enough. The dog is out. The dog is happy. And moreover, BZ is happy. Let me go up to the comments because I haven't. Pain and torture for therapy. Well, it's not exactly that kind of therapy. Although it is pain and kind of torture. Cosmic Bard, I asked about the Fantastic Four movie. I'm debating about that. I don't like Pedro. Pedro Pascal, if anybody has noticed, is in every damn movie and every damn TV show that's been out for the past year. So he plays Reed Richards in the Fantastic Four. But, it's like, but Galactus. Yes. I know Mrs. Reaver is crazy. Okay, sorry, but taking one out of Sean's books. You don't go to therapy. You're going to find yourself. Yeah, I'm going to find myself through an IV line. So, stop being mean to my friend. Stop it. And I told you the story about the duffel bags and whatnot. And hey, look, comic artist is here. And I slipped in just as BZ said, "Arg, you're late." I peed a little. Well, thank God you did and not my dog. Okay. That was the whole point of it. And of course, let the dogs out. Well, soon I'm going to be letting the dogs out because it's just about the bottom of the hour. But, when I was going to my therapy, I did not expect any of that. And, it proves to me, folks, just when you think that whatever it is that you describe as a little bit of heaven, there's going to be somebody somewhere who's going to be insisting that they shit in your mess kit. So in this instance, it's a whole bunch of people shitting in their mess kit. And I'm sure that all they did is get back in their pickup trucks, stuff themselves into their little double cabs and continue south because that's where they're going. They're not going to stay around here. They kind of stand out like the Mark I Model 1 sore thumb.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Mission log entry. I mean, let's face it, who's even counting anymore? The Lost Wanderer is officially off course, chasing rogue rocket launches, fringe science, and things that probably violate causality. If it burns fuel, bends time, or makes scientists very uncomfortable, yeah, I'm probably going to talk about it. Every other Sunday on KLRN Radio, The Lost Wanderer, because space doesn't come with a roadmap, and honestly, I wouldn't follow if it did.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Hey fellas, are you mission ready? You need to check out Mission Ready Men via EARL Big E Jackson on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and noon Eastern. It's a show that equips you to navigate our society's challenges from a biblical perspective with courage and conviction. Tune into Mission Ready Men as we examine our culture through the prism of biblical truths, teachings, and how to apply them in our daily lives. Prepare to step up, stand out, and step into your role as a man as ordained by God. That's Mission Ready Men, hosted by Earl Jackson on the SHR Media Network. And get mission ready.
Want to make an immediate difference in the life of a critically ill child? You have the ability to do that right now. Make a donation to Dream Makers for Life, the organization that restores dreams to seriously ill children and their families. You can sponsor a dream pack for a child, which contains a clear PVC backpack, a dry erase board adventure coloring book, a journal, and dry erase markers to inspire a critically ill child to envision a future adventure and hope. Want to become a dream maker for life yourself? Go to dreamforlife.org. That's dreamforlife.org. Help a child. Help a family. There is always hope.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I'm back. I'm BZ. I'm as wide as I am tall, or as tall as I am wide. I was once described as an individual who was similar to Jesus in terms of my feet were so wide and fat that people suspected that I walked on water. But that's not the truth, and you shouldn't be saying those things about me, okay? Anyway, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. I said, I promised, I swore that I was going to have a super cool dude who is going to be in the room, and it is, look who it is, SCD himself, Big E, Earl Jackson, host. I'm the host of the show, but you're the hostest, the mostest, Earl Jackson. So,
how you doing?
To you, sir. It's good to see you here now, because
good to be here.
It's my pleasure to have you here. Let me turn this up just a little bit so they can hear you better. I listened to your show, and we just, as a matter of fact, not long ago, we just heard about your show, Mission Ready Men, and it's on Tuesday and Thursdays, the same day. The same day that I'm on, except way like super early in the morning.
Yeah.
For me. So, but I regaled everyone with the tale. Well, I got up to watch Rick Robinson's show at 7, and I'm trying to make that kind of a habit so that I don't stay up quite so late at night. I'm a late night guy. Sometimes I don't go to bed until like 3, 4, 5 in the morning. And so to be up at 7 o'clock was previously challenging for me. But I figured, I'm up listening to Rick, then I need to make sure that I'm in the chat room and listening to Earl Biggie Jackson and his show, Mission Ready Men. So since you're here and I'm here and you're live and I'm live, hey, tell folks what Mission Ready Men is.
Mission Ready Men is it's a show that I do where I talk about the news of the day. talk about all the stuff that's going on with these crazy radical leftists. And but I try to frame it from a biblical perspective. I'm a Christian. I make no apologies for that. And so everything that I try to do and say on the show is from that perspective. Sometimes it's tough because sometimes I have to really work hard to keep my Christian composure, because these people are so I have to pray, because these people are so off the wall. It's mind-boggling.
It's the kind of thing where, and when I watch you or I watch Rick, and we're essentially similar folks of similar mindsets. When someone throws a camshaft like you or Rick, I'm thinking, I know exactly what the hell is going on in your brain right now. You're trying to grasp a sufficient bundle of verbiage to explain what it is that you're thinking about, and to explain the stupid video that you just played or you're about to play. And it's every day now. It's every day. It's every shift. It's like, how do I interpret this? How do I explain this to certain people? Can I do it? And if I do it, can I make an explanation without, just going nuts and looking similar to this guy? How do I do that? Is it possible? And so it used to be like every couple of months we'd be challenged like that. Oh, for example, okay, like I have a new I have a new segment, okay, like I call it the carousel of amusing derp. And this is the stuff that I customarily start the show off with. And I didn't do it before you got here. What I did is I explained basically how I was going to therapy, and I came across 2 pickup trucks full of illegal invaders in North Idaho. Yeah. And I went in. I
was listening. I heard that.
Okay, then you know what going. There's the number I called, because for whatever reason I remembered it, and I thought, it's like, okay, I'm met with this catastrophic crap across the media. And now, there is no perfect place. There is no perfect place to be. There is no spot in the United States of America, unless you're on top of a 10,000-foot mountain, where in some fashion you won't be deleteriously involved with other shit sticks that are trying to bring down the United States of America. So if you think that you're relatively safe, well, you may be relatively safe, but sooner or later, the scale will blow you out of the water, like this, for example.
People shouldn't have to work to prove their value to you. In fact, people shouldn't have to work. People should want to work, and I want to work.
That's what passes for leftists these days. They are nuts. They are damn nuts. They're crazy nuts. They're loopy.
It's a mental disorder.
It is a mental disorder. Now, we're going to be talking about mental disorders, of course.
I'm sure we will.
Suspects.
I will never forget the first time I heard somebody say liberalism was a mental disorder. It was Michael Savage.
Mike Savage.
It must have been 20 plus years ago, the first time I heard him say it. And back then I was following politics, but not to the extent that I do now. And I was like, oh, come on. That's a bit harsh. And now I'm like, he was onto something.
Well, the thing I learned about Michael Savage is that, okay, he had a great message, and his message was essentially very simple, borders, language, and culture. So here's an individual with a great message, and the inability essentially to portray his message. I happen to know one of the he destroys producers, or he used to when he had his radio show out of San Francisco. He'd chew through producers in about 6 months, and it's because he's an asshole to them. He's a raving asshole to them, and they don't want to stick around. So he has a great message. I submit that he's one of the world's worst messengers. But that being said, yes, that's exactly where I heard that the first time, and that's also where I heard the phrase "red diaper doper baby."
Yes,
was from Michael Savage. And so I also want to play this because we may or may not get to UK, but in the process of mentioning that there's no perfect place to be. However, there are certain motivation aspects that make you want to leave where the hell you were. And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk to Earl about tonight. And then we'll go over some of the other political things. But Earl did something not terribly dissimilar from what I did. I left California, always spelled with a K, in 2021. Now, my wife and I had 2 houses. She had hers and I had mine. And my house was at the 4,000 foot level in the Sierra Nevada mountains. Beautiful house. Hated to see it go. But even around there, even around alleged paradise, bad shit was on the rise, and it was creeping towards my house. And I figured out, if you don't go now, this is one of the best times to go. 2021. I didn't think that I was going to be able to sell my house because I had just gotten told by my insurance company at Farmers that, I didn't want to tell you, but now that you're moving, I can tell you, we were going to cancel your policy next year.
Wow.
Because, what's up there? Wildfires. I already got almost burned out from a wildfire in 2015. That's another tale. I had a 500-gallon propane tank cork off at the top of my hill one time. So at that point, with California and everything else, I'd already retired. 2021, I sold my house. 2022, we sold her house, and we got here, and we've been living here constantly since late 2022. So not quite 3 years. Well, you decided you're a Texan dude. You'd been in Texas for quite some time, except for the time that you were working with Sean. And Sean, asshole, didn't tell me that he knew you. But that's a story for another time that I've regaled later.
It never gets
or
old.
Prior. Yeah, that never gets old. That's true. That's true. Why I oughta. So you moved, and I want to go over that, but I have a couple of departments or segments to go through right now. One of them is this. The UK, and I'm going to try to watch my words, but the UK is destroying itself right in front of our face.
Yes.
And if you can't laugh at some of the stuff, then, you have to make it through life. And this I found amusing. This is about 30 seconds of, do I amuse you?
Let's see how long this one takes them.
That old sofa has been there for 3 weeks, and my son painted an England flag on the front, and the council came straight away to remove the bloody thing.
Look how fast the council removed my bins when they have the England flag on it. Let's see how long this one takes them.
So for those unaware,
that's hilarious.
England has gotten to the point where they don't like their own flag. And people that are displaying flags and flying flags have either been arrested or they're the focus of police activity. That's how really stupid it's gotten in the UK. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't have the time for the show tonight to be able to do it. And okay, let me find out up front. Earl, what time do you need to jam by?
I mean, I can hang out for as long as you need.
No. I told you. I said, Earl, I'm going to promise, PROMISS, this to you. I'm not going to keep you longer than an hour. So how about no longer than That would be 11:15, 11:30 your time, right around there. Would that be acceptable to you?
11:30 is good.
Okay.
11:30 is good.
All right. Just want to make sure. Anyway, I am going to go through some segments because certain individuals by the name of Sean Lewis guilted me into bringing some of my things back. So here's this. I haven't done this for a while, but I did it Tuesday night, as a matter of fact.
The bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com, Chicago death toll update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every autocrat in the 50 wards.
And what I say when the intro for this comes around, I customarily say, hey, it's time for the Chicago death toll from HeyJackass.com, illustrating Chicago values. August to date, shot and killed 30, shot and wounded 169, total shot 199, total homicides 33. Week in progress, August 24th to August 30th, shot and killed 6, shot and wounded 17, total shot 23. Total homicide 7. Here come the big numbers. Year to date, shot and killed 235. Shot and wounded 1,069. Total shot 1,304. Total homicides 282. But this translates to this essentially in Chicago, the city of big shoulders. A person is shot every 4 minutes and 24 seconds, and a person is murdered only every 20 minutes and 21 seconds.
The bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com, Chicago death toll update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every autocrat in the 50 wards.
So thanks for being here tonight, Earl Jackson. I greatly appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
I wasn't sure how long you were going to be able to be here, or if you got involved in work or something like that. Because see, this is an aspect to which I don't relate anymore. You actually work. Okay, you actually have a job. And you have to be there at a certain time. You have to appear at a certain time. You have to work for a certain period of time, and then only can leave when work says, okay, we think that we've gotten enough work out of you today. And, or, by the way, Earl Jackson, do you want some overtime? To which I'd guess that you occasionally say, yes, I'll take some overtime.
Very occasionally.
Oh, okay. All right. Good. That's good. One quick story about overtime. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, when I first started with full-time with the Sacramento Sheriff's Department, back again in 1980, after going through a whole host of other GURP in the 1970s. When you go through a sheriff's department, at least in California, always spell it with a K, you first have your ass jammed into custody, into the jails. And while I was at the jail, they were having some personnel issues. In other words, they couldn't find enough people to do some staffing. And this is when I learned about the federal government, because I thought, hey, I'm young. Let's see, when was I? Okay, in 80, I was 30. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm young. I'll take, in the jail, I'll take all the overtime that they gave me. So in 1980, I worked all the overtime I could, and I made about $110,000 in 1980 money. I made more money than the sheriff did.
Wow.
Or any of the captains or any of the chief deputies. And then 1981 rolled around, and April rolled around, and then BZ said something similar to, fuck that, I'm not working any more overtime. I got my ass reamed by the IRS. Seemed like a good thought at the time, but not so much. And then, would it shock anyone? That's very close to when two things happened. Ronnie Baby was installed, and number two, BZ began to think, I'm starting to think maybe the government isn't exactly my friend, and do I want to pay so many taxes and whatnot? And then all sorts of things happened, and I moved up to the mountains. My starter marriage went, and that's exactly what it was. It's just, It would have been simpler if I had gone to downtown Sacramento and said, like, young lady right there, you look like a very nice young lady. Can I buy you a house? And then after a while, then you kick me out of it and I'll pay for it. And then we'll figure out some kind of amenable, irreconcilable differences. It would have been a lot easier if I'd done that. But no. So, Earl, tell me a little bit about your background. I know you worked for law enforcement back east. And sadly, you were commingled with Sean for a while. I apologize for that. No one would want to suffer under those circumstances. But then you left and went where? To Texas after that?
No, actually, I worked for another department for a while, and I don't know if I've told this story before, but my police chief was a political appointee, never wore a badge, and we would constantly butt heads with him when he would give us orders, and we're like, dude, that's illegal. We can't do that. And we would have to basically educate him on police procedure and constitutional law and all the rest of it. And one day I got into it with him, called him some names I shouldn't have. And and that very same day, an old partner of mine from when I worked in housing, he had gotten hurt and couldn't be an officer anymore. And he had gotten into technology, and he called me that day and told me that he got his first job making a six-figure salary. Ooh. And I said, I got to get some of that.
Oh yeah.
And so I did. I immediately started making moves. I went to computer school and did that. I did eventually work with Sean a little bit after that again, and then I made the jump full time into technology as a career, and now here we are 25 years later.
Okay, I'm going to follow that up with a couple of questions, but before I go there, I must say this. Sean has made fun of me before with regard to my tech savvy-ishness, which to translate means, no, I'm not. No, I am not. I am a techno-Luddite of the nth degree. And Sean, ask him anytime he's on the show, he'll invariably reference that. And so I have to say this now, Earl Jackson, God bless you, sir. I did not know that you were a super big tech guy. And thank you so kindly for not hoisting me on the tech petard of my own creation, being the idiot that I am. And you've been so nice to me. You really have. I've sent you texts and through Messenger and whatnot. Hey, what about this? And what about that? And at no time did the big hand of tech come out of Messenger from Texas and go, Dish, you're a moron. Why the heck did you even answer that? Ask me that stupid question. So thank you so much for restraining yourself when asked
need.
what invariably are really stupid questions about technology. So you're a squire, my good friend. You are a squire for not taking me and grabbing me by. Did you see my tie? I'm wearing a tie.
I did.
And it's not a breakaway tie. It's an actual real tie that I
see that,
which is weird. And grabbing me by my glottis and going, oh, I told you not. How many times do I have to tell you that? The answer is, well, probably at least 20 or 30 times before it gets to
no, not at all.
The brain there. So you end up in Texas, and how does that occur?
Well, I grew up in Massachusetts, and I absolutely hated it from the time I could experience cold. I absolutely hated it.
Oh, okay.
And I hated snow. I hated shoveling snow. I hated pretty much everything about living up there except for my friends. And so when my wife and I got married, we decided we were going to leave New England, and Texas was always a place I wanted to go. I've loved Texas since I was a kid. Always been a Texas Longhorns fan since I started following football, and spent time when I was in the Air Force in Texas. Loved it, and so I really wanted to come back or go back because I'm not there anymore, and we'll get to that, I'm sure. But so yeah, I ended up in Texas. We spent if we had stayed until January, it would have been 20 years.
Wow. Okay. All right. I spent 28 years up in the Sierra Nevada mountains in about a 1,200 square foot house. It had a loft, and I'm telling you, see, I'm weird. I'm the exact opposite. I despise California. Well, even the despiction now is even greater than it ever was before. You know, if that's a word, and who the hell knows? I just made it up, but
I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of heat, and I'm not a big fan of humidity. And so I went up in the mountains. I was there for 28 years, and it just got to the point where the conditions, psychically, mentally, budgetarily, culturally, were just, dude and dudettes. I had to leave. It just was to the point where I can't take this anymore, and especially under conditions where, you know, I'm retired. I'm paying taxes to have my tax money used as a cudgel and an Exocet missile to go through my head. Why am I doing that? Why am I paying money to people who hate me so that they can use my money against me? And that's when we decided, you know, that's it. We're done. We're going to take off. So
I don't blame you.
You get married, you go to Texas. The important thing is that you wanted to go, that you like that environment. And then my guess is that one of the attractions was Texas has no income tax. I know that the tax positions there are pretty good. Is it no income tax that's the
there is no state income tax, which is fantastic. When I moved, I took a $7 an hour pay cut, but the difference in my paycheck was only $50 because there was no state income tax.
Oh, okay. That's not bad.
No, that was not bad at all. And the standard of living at that time was so much better. I mean, we bought a house after a year being down here. Excuse me. Had a house built after a year being down here, and neither one of us were making more than I don't know, maybe I think combined we were probably making $65,000 a year, maybe 70. It was just so nice. But as is always the case, a lot of people from California started coming. A lot of people from New York started coming. A lot of people from all these other leftist states started coming. Muslims started moving in. And and we found out really quick that even though there was no state income tax, the property tax was a bear. And that made things, especially towards the end, so expensive that we were looking to move. I wanted to stay in Texas. My wife didn't, so we compromised
and moved.
But in all seriousness, though, there was really nothing in our price range and that had the things that we wanted that we could afford, because the property taxes were just so astronomical, and they've gone up even since we've moved, I think, or they went up again right before we closed on that house. And so we started looking, and we looked in Alabama, we looked in Kentucky, we looked in Tennessee, and all of those states, the property taxes were a fraction of what we were paying in Texas. And we eventually found this house that we're in now. that it was it was really we believe it was God putting us here, because the way things worked out as we were looking, just we're going wrong, and then all of a sudden it just lined up perfectly, and we're really happy here in Arkansas.
Well, yeah, because people realize, and if they don't, I'll let them into the clue. There's Kansas, which is nearby, and then there's Arkansas. So the correct pronunciation of Arkansas, the true people that live in Arkansas say, well, it's not Kansas. We here pronounce it Arkansas. Don't believe anything that I say. I find it very interesting that you said that it appeared that all the lightning bolts appeared, they arranged themselves in a wonderful confluence as to allow a lot of these things to occur. I'll tell you a story that I've never told anybody else, and I'll tell it here to you only. Okay, so everyone also that's listening, make sure you just turn off your ears as I tell you a story. We had 2 houses to sell. California, always spelled with a K, was intolerable. And when we moved, one of the first things we discovered is that was a fiscal and mental weight off our shoulders that we hadn't realized was there and was physically curving us. We were bending to the culture, and we didn't realize how free we were. Now, I'm going to go back just a little bit. Mrs. BZ has a sister. Mrs. BZ's sister lives in Texas, and with her husband, whose name is Cliff. And Cliff is a pastor. And Cliff and his wife had been here to visit just before we moved Andre's house, the second house. And we're going through, just as you have to coordinate a mover and packing and the purchase of a house and the coordination of all that and all the tactics and the logistics of trying to make sure that everything occurs on time, because that was back when, I got an absolutely ridiculously non-usurious rate at about 2.3%. But
nice.
At the time, all the rates were really low, but the availability of housing was non-existent. And because everybody was moving from California, always spell it with a K, I thought, okay, I'm in an area that is being proscribed by insurance companies because of wildfires. I'm not going to be able to sell my house. I know my wife is going to be able to sell her house in Sacramento, even though it is in Ghetto Central. And she'd been living there for almost as long as I had, 25 years or so. Not a great house in an area that not thousands and thousands of people were attempting to pile into. And so I thought, we are going to have a terrible time trying to do that. And as I was arranging for a mover, we had already left Idaho, and we had gone through Washington. Now we were in Oregon, and this is really weird. We had just passed the Bigfoot Tavern in a little town, and we got a phone call, and it's from Cliff, my wife's, my brother-in-law. And Cliff says, being a pastor, I just want to tell you, I have a really good feeling about you being able to sell your house. As a matter of fact, I think something very good is going to happen to you today. And I'd been speaking back and forth with my realtor regarding my house up in the mountains. And he says, I just have a feeling you're going to be blessed and something good is going to happen to you. Okay, so I hung up, kept driving on 97. I distinctly remember that, just past the Bigfoot Tavern. And the phone rings again. And it's my realtor, Casey. And Casey says, I just got an offer, and this is the best offer yet, and I think you should accept it. We went through all the details and whatnot. And, when we discussed everything, I said, I talked to Mrs. Bazee as we're driving along, and we both at that point said, Casey, do it. Do it. So,
Nice.
And we sold the house to those people that had made that offer. And we looked at ourselves. We had listened to what Cliff had said, and we thought, what just happened to us? And the only conclusion we could possibly have drawn was we were blessed. There's no discounting the fact that we were blessed. And though things
Absolutely.
were challenging after that point, it's as if a row of dominoes that had spilled all over a card table were thusly set up, and everything went swimmingly from that point on, in terms of she was able to readily sell her house, and then everything just dovetailed together. Earl,
Yeah.
we were blessed.
Yes, you were.
And we still talk about that today. Blessed to be here, to have all those things fall together in unison. But if you would, I blew through a break, but it's my show. Who cares? Nobody cares. We'll do that later. Oh, God. Okay. Since I passed, I'll do this. Tuesday night, I played the second break at the right time. Okay. And that Thursday night prior, Sean mentions in his promo that, I talk about all sorts of different things. And Sean never seemed to like the promo that I had for him. Well, I've since, here's his promo. I had another one that he didn't care for. And then I asked Grok, I said, hey, make a promo with these items. And in the promo, he talks about alcohol and news and amoebas and big kittens and small kittens and dogs. So then I asked Grok, and Grok gave me this.
Yeah, I saw that.
So the thing I got to tell you and I got to point out is, this is, something that came out of the head of Dali, perhaps. Salvador Dali had an influence in that. And the other thing that I found out that I finally realized was the interpretation from Grok is, see the newspaper that's down there and see something on the I don't know, the newspaper, whatever the hell that is. That's Grok's interpretation of an amoeba. But the funny thing is, to me, dude, it looks like a turd. So it's probably just as well that I didn't play the break. But I just had to inject that because I didn't know if you'd seen that or not. And
yeah, I did see that. It was hilarious.
Grok is pretty weird, pretty funny. So after living in Texas, and it was a good place to be, I didn't realize that. Were the property taxes always that bad as opposed to the state taxes?
Yes, the property taxes were always out of proportion. And I remember when we bought the first house, people were telling us that the property taxes were, were terrible. And they were expensive, but they weren't, it wasn't like prohibitive. But each year it would creep up and up and up. And then, of course, when we bought the second house, it was more expensive. And so the property taxes went up even further. But then over the past few years, they've just gone exponentially, not exponentially, that's an exaggeration, but they've gone to the point where it is now prohibitive for a lot of people to buy property in Texas because it's just that expensive.
Now, this is interesting. Cheetah lives in Florida, and he's in chat right now. And he's an attorney or a former attorney or an attorney that is since hit his knees and disbarred himself. But he said DeSantis and the state had to take over our cash cow utility company after the city ran it into the ground. And the city that he lives in put it into the ground, $2 billion in debt for an electric utility. Since the takeover, utility prices dropped 25%. Wow, how does that happen? But see, I didn't understand, Earl Jackson, I didn't understand that. I thought everybody went there from California, always spelled with a K, and I didn't know that people from New York were going there. I didn't know that Texas was that big an attractant to people from New York. So, things were scales with me, and I'm sure that you weighed everything. They were scales with you.
Yeah.
And things sound as though they went fairly well for you. I'm just speaking in terms of the time element. It seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, that you left Texas. You must have sold appropriately and gotten whatever it is that, remotely you kind of wanted for the house that you left. But it seems to me that in terms of time between you selling your house, moving everything, buying that house in Arkansas, it seems to me like that was pretty quick. Or am I like way wrong on that, sir?
No, you're not wrong. We the process when we first decided we were moving, the process from looking, putting in an offer on a house, having that fall through, putting in an offer on another house, having that fall through, then finally get here. It didn't seem like it was going quickly as it was happening, but looking back on it, especially during the time when we had to sell, close, and close on the new house, that was very compressed time frame. But overall, it didn't seem like it was moving very fast until we look back on it and realized it was a whirlwind.
Because we thought, we moved in her 60s, my 70s, and we look back in retrospect and think all the things that we did at our age, so to speak, which is, relative. I thought, my God, could I ever do that again? And that's when I finally realized, you know what? Nope. No, not just regular no, extra crispy to the hell no. We're not doing it again. The car that I have, that's my last car. The house that I have, this is my last house. I'm not playing this game anymore. It beat the crap out of us. And then, though, at the end, did you and B decide or sit down one day and just go look at each other like,
yes,
we're done.
We came to the conclusion after this, or actually in the middle of it, because we had to stay at an Airbnb for a while between selling and buying. We concluded that this is the last time we were going to do this, and we're a little bit younger than you, and we're done. This is going to be it. Now, we say that now. Who knows? But as of right now, yeah, the moving is not. It's not for the faint of heart.
Oh, no, it truly isn't. I mean, I had a dude when I was in law enforcement by the name of Kent Smith. And Kent, if you're listening, I'm sure you're not. For a time, I knew everything that Kent owned. Okay, because I moved Kent, and he lived with me in my house in Sacramento. He was a roommate of mine after my starter marriage. And we moved, I moved Kent probably 6 times, 7 times. You know, the first time as he was moving out, I had to count the Cabbage Patch dolls that his ex-wife had in a bedroom all to themselves. There were so many Cabbage Patch dolls, they required their own damn bedroom. But I knew everything that Kent had. And he came and roomed with me for a while. And that was back when, you know, in your 30s. I was in my 30s at that point, in the 80s. And no big deal. That was no big deal at all. Cheetah is in chat and says, North Central Florida used to be such a cheap place to live. Now housing costs, property taxes, insurance have skyrocketed. But here's the dealio. And there's a good friend of mine who lives in Australia. That just a hop, skip, and a jump from Kiwi Lass. Splish, splash, splish, splash, who desperately wants to come to America by the name of Jack Alexander. And it's true. You know, there is, to my knowledge, and Earl, please weigh in, there is no state anymore. You know, you're not going to cut a fat hog in Idaho. You're not going to cut a fat hog in Nevada. Nevada used to be the place that all the Californians, always spelled with a K, used to want to go to escape from California because it was so close and the taxes were. Well, everything is tanked. Los Angeles has tanked. Illegal invaders went. Reno is trash. I haven't been to Las Vegas since 2017 for Freedom Fest. Nobody goes to Nevada anymore. I cannot think of a state that where you truly can cut a fat hog anymore. As in, with regards to the things that you found out, the only thing that I can think of you may be able to cut a fat hog in, I can think of 3 states, maybe, and I don't know for a factorious, maybe Alabama, maybe Louisiana, maybe Mississippi. But, you know, in terms of property or housing or anything like that, there is no magic mountain, no magic bargain to be gotten not anywhere, not anymore that I know of. Earl, and your thoughts?
Well, with respect to property taxes, some of the houses that we looked at in Alabama were in the hundreds, like $200, $300, $400 a year property taxes. Yeah.
Wait, that deserves this all by itself. Okay, all right. I'm sorry I interrupt.
No, you're fine. Yeah, and so Alabama is very cheap in terms of property taxes, and I think of all the other states that we looked at, Arkansas was the next cheapest.
Okay. All right. And was that because housing costs, you know, you encountered a mortgage percentile that is not conducive to a McMansion anymore.
No.
Because we're not getting any federal stimulus, anything like that. And we don't want to return to the bad old days of 2008 anyway.
No, we do not.
But there must have been enough in what it is that you were looking for to kind of overcome the percentile that you were paying. And yet all the rest of the things came together and both of you said, okay, this is it. This is us right here.
Yeah, and we were kind of resigned to the interest rate. We knew that we were going to take a hit on that, but so that was kind of built into what our plans were going to be. But at the end of the day, we just believed that God had a plan for us, and that plan was to leave Texas. And when we realized that, we still weren't sure what that was going to be. We looked here in Arkansas. Some things didn't line up. We looked in Alabama, and Tennessee, and those things didn't line up. And then we, like I said before, God just lined it up for us perfectly for us to land where we are now. And so the interest rate and all of that were considerations, but not in the grand scheme when it came to what we believed would be was God's plan for us, and that was to end up here. And we couldn't be happier about it.
We couldn't either. There were so many things, so many variables, so many elements in the big plan that had to come together for us to make it work. And we were both, I'll just be honest. I consider myself to be a Christian. I am not a good man. I know that because I am at least self-aware to a certain degree. I'm not a big proponent of organized religions, but there were a couple of incidents that occurred throughout my life that made me think perhaps you'd best start to consider with some seriosity how God is working into your life. And that's one of the things that came through. It was as if someone had dialed a phone. Well, literally, two people dialed a phone that same day, gave me news that I wasn't expecting. And it's as if, for whatever reason, a hand came above and said, these gates are going to open for you. Don't be stupid. Take advantage of this.
Yeah.
I'm giving you an opportunity that I have heretofore not granted you. It might be time for some thanks now, perhaps. And literally, Mrs. BZ and I thank our lucky stars, and we give praise to God that this happened to us, because we still have so many people that are back in California under what I would consider to be unpleasant circumstances. And
to say the least,
we almost thank God every day for what happened with us. Things could have gone so much differently, and yet they didn't. And I'm hearing all sorts of stories about other people and whatnot. See, I got 6 minutes before the bottom of the hour break. I am going to take the bottom of the hour break because I'm going to have to let the dog back in, because I heard him with his little nose go. So that indicates the dude wants to come back in again. I try to accommodate him. He's on his last legs, so to speak, literally.
Yeah.
And so all these things came together. But if you would, you mentioned some things that, God, how do I put this into a properly phrased question, Your Honor? There were a host of things that affected what I would consider quality of life issues. And would you say, Earl Jackson, that a lot of the things that occurred, of course, they were fiscal. You mentioned all of that. But were a good percentile of things that influenced you, like quality of life issues. And one thing that you mentioned is one element that I heretofore have never thought to associate with Texas, but the quality of life issues. What were some of those that made the both of you think, okay, maybe we really do need to think long and hard about this?
We loved where we were. It wasn't that things had gotten to a point where life was unbearable, or even unpleasant in any way. The property we had was nice. It was beautiful. The house was basically brand new when we moved in. And we were able to build our business and do all the things we needed to do. But things had just gotten to the point where it was it was really, really expensive for us to maintain that, and it wasn't worth it. And so we prayed about it, and we really believe that God laid it on our hearts to look at moving, and that's what we did. There were other things in terms of just the way the state was being run, and I've talked about this before with the things that kind of surprised me when I actually started to look into it in terms of the Muslim population in Texas and the takeover. That didn't impact us where we were yet, but it was coming, and that was not something we really wanted to be a part of. And so came into it, and we had the opportunity to leave and enhance our financial position, as well as enhance our quality of life. It was kind of a no-brainer.
Like I said, and it's out in the open. I think anybody here has an idea what I think about Islam. But like I say,
no, really, BZ, I don't think you've made that position clear.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right. Fourth for tonight. Because I'm such a shrinking violet. One day I'll get over myself and tell people what I really think about shit.
I can't wait for that day.
I know it will be so unique for these little shell-like ears to hear something. Oh, that seems harsh and judgmental, BZ. And wait, didn't I call you harsh and judgmental in chat this morning?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Because if there's anybody who is harsh and judgmental in the world right now, it's this guy right here. Talk about him, Mr. Harsh, Mr. Judgmental. But how did we possibly come to the point? And I know we got to wrap this up. I'm going to get you out of here on time. But the final question to you would, how did we ever get to the point where Texas is associated with Islam? It's like, I don't get that.
Texas survived for a long time on its reputation. People would always say, don't mess with Texas. Don't mess with Texas. Don't California my Texas. But too many people relied on that reputation and didn't do anything to maintain that reputation. And I was there for as long as I was, and I'm guilty of that too. I didn't get involved in any meaningful way to prevent it. So I mean, I take my responsibility for that too. But at the same time, the people that we elected to represent us didn't do it either. And so Texas survived a long time on its reputation of being nobody messes with Texas. Texas is the free state. Texas is the prototype for what a free state should be.
Yes.
And
yes.
But too many people just coasted on that reputation, and Muslims, Californians, all of the other leftist states that came in, and don't discount the fact there was a concentrated effort to flip Texas too with George Soros and his organization. Yeah. They took full advantage of that, and now Texas is paying the price.
Okay, I know you got to go. I understand. Thank you and bless you for coming here and giving me the time that you have tonight. Before you leave, again, tell folks about your show. Two things. Tell folks about your show on Tuesday and Thursday mornings, relatively. And then also, before you blast on out of here, tell folks a little bit about Seven Armors, if you would, please.
Absolutely. The show is called the Mission Ready Men Briefing. It is on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Central. And it's been going for about 90 minutes lately. I think that's going to be true going forward. And we talk about the news of the day, events that are taking place, and we examine them through a biblical perspective, from a biblical worldview, and I try occasionally to put some levity in there, although the past few weeks hasn't really been conducive to that. But yeah, we just try to enlighten folks with how things are going, like I said, from a biblical perspective. And Seven Armors is a t-shirt brand that we have. It's the men's line to my wife's company, Carry Girl. And Seven Armors is, like I said, just the men's line that we have a lot of bold designs, and all of them have a biblical or patriotic message, and we're just trying to build that up so that we can spread the word through the t-shirt as well as the podcast.
Earl Jackson, thank you very much for your time here. God bless you, and thanks for illuminating us about a bunch of stuff. Some of that stuff I kind of suspected was going, but it's like, folks, I tell you, and Earl essentially just affirmed, you got to do what you got to do when you need to do it. And sometimes you have to take the proverbial bull by the horns, and then sometimes you find out that you are going to be or have been blessed in a way that you had never anticipated.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Listen in to the Reaver of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a show equipped for bombast. Tune in Mondays and Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. Pacific, featuring a refreshing dose of reality. Jersey Joe fearlessly tackles the tough topics with no nonsense. Just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com, where you can hear the Reaver of Common Sense in action. He may not always be polite. He may not always be refined. But one thing's for sure. He always tells it like it is.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? And check out Seven Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with Seven Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com. 7armors.com. Faithful, vigilant, steadfast.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
It's the final half hour. I'm BZ. Thanks so kindly to Earl Jackson for being here tonight. He of Mission Ready Men, a great individual, a great American, a super dude. I would love to, I'm at 9:37 Pacific, which means it's 11:37 Central, and it's midnight 37 Eastern, and it's 1749.723, subcluster 4, paragraph 70 and the third drawer on the right beneath the stuffed iguana in Bolivian time, but I never understood Bolivian time, which is really weird. I thought I knew a lot of things about Bolivia, but apparently I don't. Now, as I was I have to. Early's gone. I can see he's not in the background, so to speak. So I can say this about Earl because he's not here. And you know me about BZ. If BZ loves to talk behind Sean's back, then BZ loves to talk behind Earl's back. And I have to tell you, it grated on me. I have to tell you, I just wanted to keep Earl here because I wanted so much to talk about. I've still got happy stories. I've got weapons grade stupid. Oh boy, I've got 2 stories in weapons grade stupid. I'm not going to be able to get to a percentile of that stuff. I wanted to get into the shooting. Heavy sigh. There's so much I wanted to talk about, and I thought, okay, just ask. Don't. It was like, the two. It's like the nice angel on the right shoulder going, "Don't do it," and then the bad devil on the left shoulder going, "Go ahead, just go ahead and do it anyway." Because I almost thought, okay, Earl, how'd you like to, be here to the end of the show, and maybe we'll go into some overtime because I really want to badly. I really want to get into the shooting and all the stupidity that's going on with regard to that, and I want to get into some dealios with regard to Islam. And I almost opened my mouth, but finally the little angel over here on the shoulder said, "Don't do it. You made a promise to Earl. Don't do it." And then I felt a bite on the neck. It's like, oh, okay. All right. No, I won't do that. So Earl, God bless you. Thank you for that. All very appreciated. So I think, hey, where are we? I think we're close to this.
Weapons Grade Stupid, the segment where anyone can play, but leftists are overqualified.
And these are weapons grade stupid stories. As I try my best to go through all of the GURP that is out there and extract the stuff that I think you guys will find amusing. And if Kiwi Lass is still here in comments, let me know, is the good angel is a vampire? Well, okay, I don't know. It just came out of my mouth. God, Dave, give me a break. Cut me a break, dude. Cut me some slack, Monsieur. So Kiwi Lass is here. Kiwi Lass, you may appreciate this. So let me know in chat, if you will, if this is happening. Because this is happening in Australia. This is weapons grade stupid. There's an Australian and or various experts, so to speak, that are proposing a tax on spare bedrooms in Australia in order to ease the housing shortages. It's like parenthesis, what the fuck are you thinking? In a brainstorm, this is from Zero Hedge also. In a brainstorm that has leftist central planners around the world salivating, an Australia market analytics firm has proposed that the country start imposing a tax on spare bedrooms. The aim, to ease the country's housing shortage by incentivizing those who have housing that they need to sell and downsize. So I wonder, who could they possibly be aiming that at? Well, that would be people with empty nesters, for example, who their kids have, they've already flown away, or the elderly. Well, you have a couple of bedrooms. Yeah, if you have a spare bedroom, we're going to tax your ass off on that. So it seems to me that mostly the older individuals are going to be taxed with that. The people that are young, that are in apartments or maybe small homes or have children, they're not going to have any spare bedrooms. So The onus is on whom to pay this potential tax. Now, I am not saying that it is here right now, but this is just one of a continuing series of ridiculosities where leftists are thinking, let's see, how can we pants the other people, expose their genitals, and slap them on the ass or up in their scrotum, and how can we drain as much money out of these people as we possibly can? Okay, so Cheetah says, blame the gun. Oh, wait, I forgot Minnesota, a gun-free state, and Minneapolis is uber liberal. Oh, yeah. I'm not going to be able to. I can see already I'm not going to be able to get to that tonight. Wish I did. Hey, just throwing this out here in the ozone, okay? Potentially. I'm thinking, every show is like this. Every show. Look at all the stuff I've got. Look at all the things that I'm not going to get to because I'm kind of a nimnal and SFA. So shit falls apart. So basically Kiwi says, no, okay, I have not heard about that in New Zealand yet. So a little bit further down in this, it says Australian redistributionists are busy cooking up other means of extracting wealth relative, because who has the wealth? The government does. Extracting wealth from homeowners. In a new paper, university professors Peter Szymanski and Roger Wilkins assail Australia's capital gains tax exemption for owner-occupied housing, by which the government forgoes the coercive collection of $50 billion a year. They also urge the imposition of a tax on imputed rental income, the value of owning a home and not having to pay rent. In a manifestly Marxist sentence, the academics complain that favorable treatment of owner-occupied housing is a major driver of inequality. So if you can think of anything silly, stupid, and fattening that issues from the brain housing group of a leftist, I have just made that illustration for you. It's like, good fucking God. Where does this shit come from? Out of the minds of ridiculous people. But wait, there's more, right? Because I bring all this stuff to you so that you can see, my God, it's like California is the petri dish in the United States of America of what the fuck not to do or transfer to the rest of the nation. Which is why, Gavin Newsom is an insane dude, but yet he's pulling strings in because he has the drapes measured for the White House. He measured the damn drapes way back in 2020. Guaranteed. He visited Joe Biden, if you recall, in the White House. And I'm sure he went, 124 inches. Yes, let's make this plaid or paisley. He's going to go for it in 2028 because we already know Cammie the Cackler is no bueno. She's pulled out of California. She has said not running for governor in California. So, that I'm looking up here and I'm looking at all the stuff that I had about Democrats up here and how they're losing and how they're stupid and how they're imploding and how they're exploding. Well, I want to play this for you so that you understand what's going on. And you can see this is from my Twitter page. I'm on X. I call it Twitter. What the hell? I'm on X at BZ's Saloon. At BZ's Saloon. And I'm really busy on Twitter. That's probably my most active page. I'm fairly active on Facebook. I'm fairly active on Getter. Getter? What the hell is Getter? I don't know. They seem to be nice to me. The Getter seems to be one of the least censored points at which I insert revolutionary thoughts. And I haven't gotten excised yet. But I'm going to read this to you. And then after I read this to you, I'm going to play the video. And then I want you to try not to let smoke issue from your ears, because after I read this to you, you're going to think, No, don't be such a madman. You're a madman if anybody thinks that's true. Then I'm going to play the video for you from a person that you know is associated with this kind of thing. So I'm not making this shit up. So California, I'm sorry, they spelled it with a C, but I always spell it with a K. California is making little girls fill out forms declaring they have a mental health issue if they don't want to share a locker room with biological males. Let me repeat for those of you who just may have tuned in, and then this will be verified in terms of audio and video. California is making little girls fill out forms declaring that the little girls, have a mental health issue if they don't want to share a locker room with biological males. This is real. This is Riley Gaines. She has photo evidence. I just had a follower in California reach out and let me know what's going on. So for a little over a minute, Riley Gaines is going to bring us up to speed, as in, another one of those moments where you just shake your head and go, what the hell else can occur?
I should have a follower in California reach out and let me know that her daughter had to fill out a mental health accommodation form declaring that she had a mental health issue for, get this, not wanting to share the restroom, locker room, bathroom with a boy. Let that really, really sink in. In California, if you're a girl who doesn't want to use, a high school, middle school age girl, if you don't want to have to use the restroom next to a boy or forcibly undressed next to a boy, that makes you mentally deranged. Not the boy who wants to be in that space, the boy declaring himself to be something that he's not. No, that's totally sane, totally sound in the mind, but you are the one with a mental health issue. Here's a photo of the mental health accommodation request. You can see it right at the top. This happened in the Temecula Valley Unified School District. Go ahead and give me a lobotomy. If that's the standard for being mentally deranged, is believing that girls' bathrooms are only for girls and vice versa, give me the lobotomy.
Where do people come up with this? And this dovetails with the issue that we just experienced today. Perhaps it's a good time to put these up. And as I am displaying some overlays here, I'll say this. First, I am not relinquishing my firearms, because that's the first thing that people following this incident said in, I believe, Minneapolis. And I have some video that I may or may not be able to get to tonight. And with luck, I may be able to cobble together, I don't know, maybe a Saturday night show. So just letting you know, if you follow me on X or you follow me on Facebook or Getter, take a peek, and I may be having a show Saturday in order to just get the rest of this stuff out that I did not have the opportunity to get to tonight, because I thought that talking to Earl and having Earl on was a little bit more important than that. And again, thanks to Earl for being here tonight. But, the firearm is a tool. It's the problem, not the individual with the mental health issue. And you just listened and heard this. I'm not relinquishing my firearms for infants, for children, for mothers, for fathers, for boys, for girls, for families, for my family, for my wife, not for anyone, period. That is not going to be happening. And let's go back to, with regard to what she said in terms of California believes the individual with the mental problem are the rest of you, and the people who are trannies, etc., they are the normal people. Do you really want to be living in a damn state that views you as abnormal, the once normal person? It's just insane. So let me damn these facts. It says here the trans movement is radicalizing the mentally ill into becoming violent terrorists who target children for murder. Actually, the reverse is true. The creation of trannies, they're the victims who are mentally soft, who are subject to warping by Democrats and leftists. So there's a pattern that we're seeing here. And you can go down this list, and I'm going to read them to you because occasionally people listen to my show in podcast and they do not have the capability of watching. Today's Annunciation Catholic Church shooter identified as a tranny. The Nashville, and if you don't like that term, I couldn't care less. The Nashville Christian shooter identified as a tranny. The Lakewood Church shooter identified as a tranny. I'll have photographs for you shortly. The Colorado Springs shooter identified as non-binary. The Denver shooter identified as tranny. The Aberdeen shooter identified as tranny. The Iowa high school shooter was a trans activist. Radical gender ideology is driving violence and targeting innocent people. It's like, enough. And that's why I don't see any kind of avoidance of some really serious clashes somewhere in our future. I may as well mention this now. I was on a show last night called Inquiry, where Rick Robinson was producing, and it's a show featuring this super brilliant dude named Stephen L. Hall, a serious typical underachiever who has a PhD, a master's, he has a doctorate, and he's an attorney. And so the question that I posed to him, because the deal with the show is a questioner poses a question and he answers the question and he takes an hour to do it. And the issue was district courts. How can district courts get away with making an opinion, crafting an opinion that is applied nationwide and all of the potential ramifications of that? And after an hour, at the very end of it, I said roughly, okay, what's the solution for this? Will this be getting better? And instead of myself and he throwing multisyllabic words back and forth at each other, he concluded by saying, no, I don't really see any improvement for this in the future. Everything is radicalized. Everything is biased. Everything is agendized, including the courts. Now, that's not exactly how he would put it, but that's how I'm putting it. So will things get better with regard to this stupid bullshit? My guess is no. But the opposite side, leftists and Democrats, are going to push, and they are not going to stop pushing. And the thing to emphasize now, I'm going to have a show on this in the future, is do not possibly think that 2026 is going to be a cush, because these assholes are rallying their troops and circling the wagons in a way we haven't seen before. It is they who are the oppressed. They completely believe that they are the oppressed. And in order to be liberated, they must take to the streets, and clearly they're using violence to do it. Now, another aspect of the shooting is what you see in the overlay on the screen right now. Millions of American children are growing up without fathers. In this instance, I believe he had a father. Now, what part that father played in this family, I don't know, but it's the female who pushed this psycho into where he was today. And even then, I don't have time to get to it, but he was questioning himself. Do I want to do that? And if I do that, if I make an admission that I might not have been wrong, can I go back on that? Well, what'll happen to me? I can't go back on that. So here, chronic widespread fatherlessness leads to huge societal problems. Out of the 27 deadliest mass shooters in U.S. history, 26 of them, including the Parkland shooter, Nicholas Cruz, share one thing in common. They all grew up in households without biological fathers. So how many of these weird fucking tranny units grew up in households that didn't have fathers? And then the question is, of course, what if these young men had been raised by strong, upright fathers that kept the women in line from perverting their sons and their daughters? Because women are crazy, especially white women are crazy ass, leftist, insane people. The very first form of government and authority a child comes into contact with is a father. Let me catch up with some comments here, if I might. And Kiwi Lass says, stealing their rights. Yes. And Cheetah said, you know, if my dad was around and my sister came home with a form like that, somebody might be in the hospital. I sincerely miss the old man. He'd show up at my school and have discussions with regard to bullies. And sounds like my kind of guy. They can't legally do so, but they do it anyway. And if there's somebody who would know about the law, it's certainly Cheetah, being the attorney and just re-upped in Florida as well. Democrats are the Fighting Uric High. That was a high school I went to. I went to Uric High. Let's continue with some of the media assets that I happen to have here. And this I said I would show. Look at this. Here are the people. Do you possibly see any kind of a pattern to be recognized? The upper left, Denver school shooter, Devin Erickson, identified as a tranny. Denver school shooter number 2, Maya McKinley, identified as a tranny. Aberdeen shooter, I'm going to slaughter this name. Who would, you know, it's the mother or the father that pushed this stupid fucking name on her daughter, Snowchia Mosley, identified as tranny. The Nashville shooter, Audrey Hale, identified as tranny. A lot of these names are not their real names. Uvalde shooter, Salvador Ramos, tranny, unconfirmed. Georgia, and I believe he was. Georgia shooter, Colt Gray, tranny, I believe he was too. The Iowa shooter, Dylan Butler, identified as gender fluid. Philadelphia shooter, Kim Brady Carricker, identified as trans. Colorado Springs shooter, Anderson Lee Aldrich, identified as non-binary. And then cops are saying today, I can't understand what motivated this shooter to kill children in a church. Well, I'm sure that didn't have anything to do with it, did it? And I'll go into this in a little bit more detail if I do a Saturday show. But from the National Library of Medicine, you know, trannies responded about depression. 81% of them felt down, depressed, or hopeless for several days in a 2-week period. Depression rates are generally 5 times the general population. And I found this very interesting. And another thing that I'm going to be displaying here for a second, and then I'm going to wrap up the show. Some gay and lesbian individuals and critics express concern that some young people, particularly those who are gender non-conforming, see, these are weasel bullshit words. I'm going to get to the not weasel bullshit words in just a moment. May be encouraged to identify as transgender to tranny to escape homophobia. In this view, gender transition can be seen as a modern form of conversion therapy, especially for effeminate gay boys or masculine lesbian girls. Here's what a chick said on a show on Newsmax. And these are almost direct quotes. Gays and lesbians don't see trans units as gay 2.0. They see the trans issue as intensely homophobic in itself. The trans issue they see as intensely homophobic itself. And they believe most people who are targeted to transition are gays and lesbians who are told by semi-professionals and or family members, your body is wrong. And the way to fix it is to transition. They see it as one of the most regressive, homophobic movements. It is seen as essentially, and these are their words, essentially as transing away gay people.
Monsieur has been locked.
That's the show. I don't have any more. I used a full 2 hours. I was kind to Earl Jackson. I wanted to keep him so that we could discuss a lot of these things. But, you know, with all the stuff that happened today and all of the weird acidness that occurred as I went to therapy, it kind of caught me off guard. But I wanted to tell the story anyway. Earl's a cool dude. And I love having Earl on. A super guy, a super man of God, an infinitely better man than I will ever be. And you got to listen to his show Tuesday and Thursday mornings here on the SHR Media YouTube channel at 9 a.m. Pacific, and you can figure the rest of the times yourself. All this stuff has been happening as I've been speaking, to include, their Lockheed and the microphones and the board and Pratt & Whitney engines. So my thanks to Earl Jackson for being here. I'm going to be consorting with these guys very shortly. And to everyone from last Tuesday night's show, 120 views on YouTube. That's amazing for us. Everybody, take care. God bless. Be safe. Have a wonderful, I think it's Labor Day weekend.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Night, everybody.
Night, Mama. Night, Ben. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, and good luck.
Is there going to be any more? Is this like a Marvel movie? Now, you know what I normally do, though, is for the people that wrap up, I always show their comments before I end the show. That's what I'm doing now. Don't tell anybody. Okay, that's it. Goodbye. Good night.